Hello, everyone. You made it to the last session of the day, and I'm so thankful that you did because we're going to talk about a very important topic, which is being overwhelmed and stressed out. Now, I know we're all at home and not in person, but how many of us can relate to this title? I am raising both hands. There might be some of you raising one hand, two hands. There's a lot of us who are feeling this way, especially during these times. And without these times, overwhelm and stress out is something that we all can relate to. So what is going to happen during this session? You're going to walk away with practical tools that will leave you feeling more clear and much more at ease, just a lot more peace of mind. And I know that you are here because you want that. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go to my next slide and let's just get very real. Let's get real about what's going on in your life and business. So let's start with life. I have a 9 and 5-year-old. I have a husband. I have a home. So not only do I have my home life, I also have my business. A lot of you can relate. So when we get those phone calls from those clients, especially clients who are stressing us out, when we get home, our kids say something and that also stresses us out. Let's just get very real about what's going on. You are not alone. You are not the only person who is feeling the pressure from all different directions, from work and life. There's pressures at work to also just manage different relationships. So it's not just your clients. We have partners, we have strategic partners, we have potential clients. There are so many different people, and we are the ones at the center of it all. What do we need to do about it? We need to not only breathe and relax, but we're the ones who need to be centered through all of it. So let's just get very real about the actual pressures that are happening, whether it's turning on the news and feeling pressure about that, looking at your bank account, feeling pressure about that, dealing with clients that we just talked about. So the purpose of this talk and workshop is to really be honest about what's not working so that we can transform different areas of our lives. So let's get right into it. By the way, this is an interactive workshop. And again, I know that I'm on video here and we're not in person, but you know what? I'm going to treat this as if we are in person, and I'm going to talk to you as if we are in a room together. So it will be interactive. I will be asking you to take out your notebooks and write things down. And like all things, the more you put in, the more you will get out. So I invite you to really be here and participate. You will get the most out of this workshop. My name is Joni Ray. I'm an executive coach to CEOs, founders, and owners, people who want to not only scale their businesses, but they want to make sense of all of the different things going on at once. My clients have conversations with themselves in their heads. How many of us can relate to that? Where we're talking to ourselves in our heads. And how productive is that? It's not very productive. So what we're going to do in this short session is get those conversations out of our heads and into reality so that we can transform these areas of our lives where we feel extremely overwhelmed and stressed out. Now, I'm a master facilitator, and I do workshops both online and in person. We will get back to more in person soon. And both online and in person, it's pretty much the same approach. It's me giving you tools, coaching, and exercises so that you can pull this course towards you and get the most out of it. As a business management consultant, I also help organizations at a team level be not only less overwhelmed and less stressed out, but have cultures that work. Have cultures that work. What does that mean? Cultures that work means that people feel happy and at peace at work. And so that's what we are going to do for you in this workshop. I'm an expert in organizational culture and change, team performance, and I've been at very large firms. And now we're going to bring those lessons straight to your life and business. Here are organizations that we've helped. We've been all over the world giving tools to leaders like yourself, senior leaders and team members, so that people can have workable lives and business. What do I mean by workable? I mean, really businesses and lives at work, because a lot of times our lives and our businesses just are not working because of these conversations we're having in our heads by ourselves. So let's get right into how to get these conversations out of our heads into reality so that we can start transforming them. So, do you feel like life is a struggle sometimes? Do you feel like a hamster in a wheel? How we have seen hamsters who are just spinning around the wheel, and the wheel is the same wheel. The scenery is the same scenery. It's a different day, but it just feels like the same day. Do you feel like that right now, or have you felt like that in the recent past? Do you feel like there's not enough time? Do you feel like, you know what, 24 hours in a day? That's not enough hours in the day. I need more time than that. Do you feel that way? Well, if you answer yes to any of those questions, well, maybe you're also sick of surviving and you're ready to thrive. That's why we are here today, friends. We are going to talk about what it is to thrive, how we can thrive in our lives, in our businesses, and not be so overwhelmed and stressed out. All right, so let's talk about the impact of prolonged stress on your body. Whenever I work with my clients, I first talk about the basics. And what is that? That is your mental and your physical health. Now, I can't go on and give you tips and tricks to get those stories and that conversation out of your head and all that stress until we talk and have a real talk about what's going on with your mental and your physical health. So ask yourself, what kind of food are you eating? What are you drinking? How much sleep are you getting? And if you answered to yourself answers that you're not exactly happy with, we need to start there. So when we are causing stress on our body by not eating food that fuels us, when we're not sleeping the right amount of sleep, that's when stress starts to go on overdrive. So I assure you that if you can just take the time to go to the basics and start eating the food that you know you're supposed to eat and start sleeping at the time you know you're supposed to sleep, those are two things that are going to make a huge difference. And you might be saying, Joni, I already know that. That's so basic. Can we just move on to the tips I need to know, or can we go on to the workshop already? And the answer is no. I'm not going to move on until I very much hone in on this point that we need to be taking care of ourselves by eating properly, sleeping properly, and drinking enough water. So that's the first inventory to take. And for those of you taking notes, I want you to write down, where are you in the area of health and wellness? What changes do you need to make? All right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're also going to talk about what stress can lead to. You can have an increased appetite, increased blood sugar, stored fat, anxiety, depression, brain fog. These are all things that we are welcoming into our lives as we are stressed out. So when we're in meetings, when we are home with our families and we have all of this going on, how productive is that? It's not productive. So these upfront slides are just to really get us present to the impact that the stress is causing in our lives so that we can make conscious choices, new choices. So I am all about transforming lives and businesses. I'm not about small changes that you're going to forget about. I really want to make an actual difference. So I invite you to partner with me, to join me so that we can make a real difference in your life, so we can transform this slide into something that's going to work for you. Now, let's talk about what it means to find your center. Some of you might meditate, some of you might not meditate, some of you might have a quiet time, some of you might have zero quiet time. Wherever you are on the scale, I want to urge you, my first tip is to find that center at least a few minutes a day. What does that look like and what does that mean? Because I have very busy people tell me, Joni, I don't have time to find any kind of center because I wake up and I have to do some kind of workout, or maybe I skip my workout and I have deadlines. I need to get the kids out of the house. And then we are on overdrive until it's time to work at night again and sleep late. There's just no time to find my center. And that is your first issue. The first issue is, besides not eating right and sleeping right, is that you're not taking time daily to be quiet. And for those of you who are doing this consistently without missing a day, I commend you. Keep on going. If you are not doing this consistently, what this looks like is waking up in the morning and it doesn't even need to be more than 5 minutes. So I invite you to take 5 minutes every morning to sit down, to quiet your mind. You may read for 5 minutes. You may be just in a quiet meditative state for 5 minutes. You might just write in your journal for 5 minutes. And what are some things you can write about? You can write about, my favorite, what you're thankful for. You can do that for 5 minutes. Whatever you choose to do, just do it consistently and do it every morning. Now, there are going to be times when we miss a morning, and that's okay. We don't want to beat ourselves up for that. It's very human, very normal. Just get back on the next morning. Finding your center daily is going to make a huge difference for you. Now, stick with me because we're going to go through an actual workshop where we are going to go and have a self-assessment of your entire life. So this is where the workshop begins. It begins right now because it's a workshop where you're going to get to work. Now, get out your notebook. Whether you do paper and pen, some people still do that. Pull out your tablet or a page on a Word document or something where you can type. We are going to take a self-assessment of your life and business right now. All right, here we go. And I highly encourage you to take advantage of this because this is the one exercise that makes a huge difference for my clients. Now, you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 through 10 for each area that you see on this screen. 1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest. And don't think about it too much. Don't sit there and say, okay, am I a 7? Am I a 9? Just choose a number. Choose the first number that comes to you. All right, we're going to assess your life. Here we go. There's going to be a list. It's going to go fast. So let's keep up. Let's get those notebooks ready. First, creativity. Where are you on a scale of 1 through 10? So you're going to write the word creativity, and you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 through 10. Next is your finances. Where are you on a scale of 1 through 10? All right, so you get the game so far, right? So now I'm going to list everything, and you're just going to go ahead and list your score 1 through 10 for career, personal, professional education, health, wellness, nutrition. We've talked about that. Physical activity. Your home environment. How would you rate your home environment on a scale of 1 through 10? Joy, fun, and play. Such an important one. And I know I'm going very fast, and you need time to write things down and write the number. So I promise you, I will give you plenty of time. I'm just showing you the areas of life to rate so that we can just keep it moving. Social life and friends is the next one. Spirituality. Where are you on a scale of 1 through 10 for your spirituality? Are you taking that daily time to center yourself? Your love life. Where is that on a scale of 1 through 10? And I'm just going to keep on going. Whoops, let's go back. All right, we have spirituality, love life, sex and intimacy, professional relationships, family, and your relationship with yourself. Now, I'm looking at the clock right now. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, or maybe less than that, for you to get all of your scores down. So I'm just going to be quiet so you can jot everything down. So again, the instructions are to rate all areas of life that you see on your screen right now. Why are we doing this? We are doing this because we can't transform something if we don't know what's happening in reality. If we are oblivious, if we are in denial, if we ignore something, there's no way it's actually going to transform. We need to get very real. Like we talked about earlier, let's get real. We need to be very real about what's going on. Now, I want to acknowledge that I get that this exercise can be very confronting for a lot of us. And when I've taught this workshop in the past, people can get very emotional. And I want to encourage you, if that's happening to you right now, let those emotionals just come up. And my dog, I think, is getting emotional. You might hear her. You might hear her. Are you taking your self-assessment, Foxy? Is that why you want to bark? All right. So that's been a couple minutes. You should be done or close to done. If you're not, just jot down really quick the words that you see, and then you can rate those areas of life as we go along. All right, let us keep it moving. So you now have a list of areas of your life. You've rated them. What do I want you to do now? The next thing to do is to circle or choose 2 areas of life that you want to focus on. Like, what do you want to focus on immediately? So let me give you some guidance here. I've had people tell me that they rated some areas of life really low. However, they didn't want to choose that right now. They didn't want to focus on that right now because there was a plan to focus on that later in the calendar year. So what is jumping out at you right now as far as an area of life that you are committing to raise as far as that assessment number? You want to get that number up. What 2 areas are you going to focus on now? So make sure you write that down in your notebook before I move slides here. Okay. Now, everyone, take a deep breath with me. Okay, let it out. One more time. Let it out. I know that was a heavy exercise to rate all the areas of your life. Now we're going to talk about the internal monologues. Remember, we talked about stories we make up in our heads. We're going to talk about the internal monologues that we have about those areas of life. And I am anticipating there's some people who wish they could see the previous slide again because they didn't get to everything. So this is your last chance to jot these 15 things down, or if you didn't get the last few to write down, there you go. All right, we are going to move on now to internal monologues. So what internal monologue are you telling yourself about an area you are committed to working on? So let's say you chose finances. What are you telling yourself about finances? What internal story are you saying? Or maybe you chose love life. What stories, what is your internal monologue you're saying about your love life? Maybe you're saying, this is not working. Or maybe you're saying, I can't find someone that I actually like. Or maybe you're saying, I give up. I'm not doing this anymore. What internal monologue are you telling yourself? Notice that internal monologue. And that is the conversation we are going to transform. Okay. So in your notebooks, you're going to write down that internal monologue you're having about those 2 areas of life. So go ahead and write that down now. Just a few words you're saying about each of those areas that maybe you're helpless or hopeless or it's not going to work out. Whatever you're saying, just go ahead and write it down. All right, so now that we have rated all areas of our life and business, we have written down that story in our heads, that internal monologue about those 2 areas we're committed to working on. We're now going to go through an exercise called Ideal Movie. And this is going to be the last exercise. I told you this would be an interactive workshop, right? This is not just a workshop where you're just sitting back and relaxing and just watching me talk. No, you are at work. So Ideal Movie is this. Imagine we are watching a movie. Okay, so we're all watching a movie and you admire that main actor and you want to be exactly like them. You see them in the movie and you say, wow, what an amazing person. I would love to be like them. Notice who that actor is with. What do they do in their spare time and where are they? Where is that actor? So go ahead and imagine, okay, we're watching this movie and you see this actor and see it, visualize it, see that in your head that we're watching this movie and wow, you really admire this actor. All right, pull out your notebooks. Write down 3 words to describe that actor. 3 words. Now, those words might be bold, courageous, and fun. Or the 3 words might be inspiring, happy, and loving. Or those 3 words might be content, peaceful, and spontaneous. Whatever 3 words come up for you to describe your actor in your movie, go ahead and write them down now. All right, that's word number 1, word number 2, and word number 3. And don't think about it so much. Just come up with the first 3 words. All right. Do you have your words? I have something to tell you about those 3 words. Those 3 words actually describe not the person in the movie. Those 3 words describe, drum roll please. Maybe you guessed it already. Those 3 words describe you. Yes, you, the person right there in your chair looking in the mirror. Those 3 words represent you. So what do you do now that you have your 3 words? All right, so we've written them down. We have our 3 words. Your 3 words represent you. They embody who you are, the person, not the person you want to be, the actual person you are, the highest version of yourself. That person does exist. That person is there deep down inside of you. That person is there. And I'd love for you to think through, as you are, those 3 words, as you embody this person, imagine the areas of your life as you embody those 3 words. So if you chose finances and love life, or maybe you chose fitness, like the photo here, as you embody being those 3 words, how would you show up? What actions would you take? And what responsibility would you take for your life and business? Now, a belief is a thought we think over and over again. A belief is a thought we think over and over again. And to this point, those areas of life that have disempowered you, your thoughts just have not led to beliefs that are working for you. So to transform those beliefs, we're going to first transform the person that you want to be, which are those 3 words. And again, now imagine how those 2 areas of life, how those would be. Now let's move to your game plan as we wrap up. We're about to wrap up, but we're not going to wrap up without a game plan. Okay? We are going to have a plan. That's my role as a coach to CEOs, founders, and owners. My role is to make sure there's a plan and there is accountability to take action on that plan. So what are 3 actions you're going to take in the next week? I'd love for you to write that down in your notebook. What are 3 things you're going to do in those areas of life you're committed to? As you're embodying this new version of you, what are 3 things you can do? I'm going to just talk for a little bit longer on this slide as you write down those 3 actions you're going to take. Why am I asking you to write down the 3 actions? Because if we are not accountable to ourselves, then the actions actually don't happen. I will say that again. If we are not accountable to ourselves, those actions will not happen. And then you are hiding. You're hiding and you're making up stories in your head. So I'd love for you to go ahead and write down your 3 words. You have your 3 words ready. You're going to write down your 3 actions, write down your 3 words and your 3 actions, and commit to yourself that you will take those actions. Get them in the calendar. I'm going to move to the next slide now. And if you're not done writing down the 3 actions you're going to take, please, please, please write them down and write them down now so you don't forget. Now, what did I say about accountability? If you are not accountable, you're not going to take those actions. So I want you to tell an accountability buddy, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell somebody, a coach, tell a colleague, tell somebody about your 3 actions you're going to take and when they will be done by so they can keep you accountable. All right, we are going to wrap up now. I want to leave you with 5 things to start doing. Do your daily mindfulness activity. Cut out what does not serve you. Just take it out of the calendar. If it's not furthering your goals, just stop doing them. I know it's easier said than done, but when you do it, it'll make a huge difference. Write down your 3 words, get them on the refrigerator, put it on the door, put it in your notebook. Make sure those 3 words are visible. Stop complaining. Say the words cancel, cancel in your head as you complain. If you just catch yourself complaining, say cancel, cancel, and then think about something you're thankful for. As we complain, that causes more and more stress in our lives, and be intentional. Start your day with that mindfulness activity and then be intentional with your day. You're majestic. You can do this. I believe in you. And we are going to wrap up. I am over time. And if you would like a free workshop with me, email me with the subject line free. All right. I know that was a lot going on. And I tried to pack in as much value as I could because I believe in you and I believe that you can and you will transform those areas of life that you're committed to. And with that, I am available for questions.
All right. What a great way to wrap up. I don't know if this is quite the session that has the normal amount of questions that we would get, but we are open for questions whenever you guys have, or if there's anything you want to share, I would say that Joni brought out that maybe you haven't thought of or you're going to try, or things you wrote down. I don't know if anyone's willing to share some of their results or things they've done from the exercise. So while we're kind of waiting for some of those to roll in, we got a thank you from, I got my old man Isaac and Millicent. Saying thank you, Emily, thank you. A lot of thank yous. Yeah, this was really good. I think sometimes we just need affirmations on these things, right? There's simple things we can all do. But
and Kip, you and I were talking right before this about how needed this topic is right now, because people they're overwhelmed, and I hear the thank yous, and you're so welcome. And there are times at the end of the workshop where Kip, not everyone is willing, and it's okay to raise a hand and share in this public setting, because it is so vulnerable to share personal things about your life and business. And we just still encourage you to take the actions and get out of that stress and overwhelm.
Yeah, absolutely. My share a story. My daughter is away at college, and she's taking a pretty tough class, and she called her mom and I, and just in tears, got a horrible grade. And we're talking about an A student, right? It's the first time in her life. And as a borderline, B plus student who've had my share of bad grades, I'm thinking, oh, just let her go. And I'm saying, you know what? Things always have a way of working themselves out. And once she had a talk with the professor, got a chance to do some extra credit and things, and got the grade right back up. So
there you go. And
things always have a way of working themselves out, don't they?
It's really true. And Kip, it's that age. It's young, very young people who are in classes. It's people who are business owners. It happens to all of us. And to your point that everything ends up working out, there's this saying I say all the time to myself: everything is always working out for me. And since beliefs are thoughts we think over and over again, just telling yourself everything's always working out for me.
Yeah.
That's just so much more productive than complaining.
Yeah. My grandmother would always say, count your blessings. Don't let somebody count them for you. Emily said, I like the part about belief is a thought you have over and over again. I don't talk to myself in my head well, and I'm hurting myself by not thinking positively.
Yes. Yeah. Let's address that Kip, for a second here.
Yeah, go for it.
When thank you for saying that. And that's not just you, it's everybody else, where we just talk to ourselves in our heads and we don't realize what it is that we're saying in our heads. And it isn't until things are too late where we're manifesting these situations that we say, where did this come from and why is this happening? Well, we need to take responsibility for the realities of our lives, because the source of it is how we're talking to ourselves and the environments that we're in. And, thank you for mentioning, wow, I didn't realize that I'm saying that to myself in my head. Well, now that you have the awareness, these are some tools from this workshop you can take on and start to transform that. So thank you for saying that.
For sharing. Helga's asking a question for you here. Do you have a ranking score to understand exactly how stressed we are?
That's an excellent question. I do have some assessment tools that I do with my clients. There's assessments, everything from how stressed are you for my leaders I work with. And then I also have assessments for my larger organizations where we assess and do a baseline of the actual culture so that we can improve that culture over time. So there are other assessments. This is my quick tool that I do in my short workshops. But what you can do with the scores that you had out of those 15 or so items, you can go ahead and add your score up and then divide it by the total number of areas of life. And then you can come up with that total score for you. And then as you improve your different areas of life, that score will go up and up and up.
Or give anybody advice on that, to say, like, as far as being stressed out, like, don't try to be a 10. Like, where's that number say? You know what I mean? Like, for some people, I'll throw one of the ones that were out there on there is like, is physical well-being. If you're someone who just doesn't like to work out, what you think might be a 10, maybe a 7, is good. And then as a stretch goal, say, try to go for an 8. Like, do you ever advise people along those lines?
Thank you for bringing that up, Kip. Oh my goodness. Yes, that is such an important part of all of this. Stop being so hard on yourself and trying to be a 10 in all areas of your life, because that's just not how life works. And as Kip is saying, you being in 7, being an 8, being a 6, sometimes people just feel like, okay, I'm a 4 right now in this area, and that's my best. And I'm proud of that. Just own it. It's when we are comparing ourselves to others and have these goals that are just unrealistic, that also causes overwhelm and stress. So thank you, Kip, for saying that. That's so important. Just be gentle with yourself and realistic with your numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And the comparison thing is we're all terrible at it, right? I mean, we stop that way. We do. It's so easy to think like, well, you think someone else. Yeah. I'm going to go back to another dad moment, right? My kids are always blah, 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 so and so. And I'm like, you know what? Everybody's got problems. They just have different problems. And so just remember that.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It's such a good reminder. Yeah. And I'm so thankful we're having this conversation, because it's going to make a difference for at least one person, Kip, where they're saying, you know what? I don't need to be so hard on myself, and I can breathe, and I can take my morning routine, and I can do this. So if just one person walks away thinking, wow, I can do this, then we did our job.
Yeah. Myself, I invested in a heavy bag, and I just go downstairs and punch it really hard. And that seems to help sometimes.
There you go. Yeah. You got to do what works for you. If the heavy bag works for you, going on a walk works for you, whatever it is, just take the time to do.
Find your moment then. Final thoughts? Final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. My final thought is this. That last slide, you are majestic. You can do this. I believe in you. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be here. I've seen so many transformations and miracles and just things that just were not going to happen, where people actually transform these areas of life where they just were unrecognizable to themselves, the people in their lives. So if I could leave one final thought, it would be, please, please, please take on those 3 words that you discovered here in this workshop and really embody them so that you can live that life you're meant for.
Joni, thanks for presenting with us. And everyone, you have a wonderful rest of your week. Be kind to each other.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.